In today's MLB recap, we have to say goodbye to a former MLB superstar and one of the best postseason hitters in the history of baseball, Cody Bellinger. He just won an award that almost no one predicted that he was going to win before the season. The 2023-2024 free agent class is already heating up. Multiple stars have opted out of their contracts, and we're going to go through every single team and talk about all of their free agents. The first thing that we have to talk about in today's recap, Nelson Cruz. He is calling it a career. He is hanging up the cleats. As you can see, he's a 7-time All-Star, a 4-time Silver Slugger, and an ALCS MVP. If you guys don't remember, back in 2011, he had maybe the greatest playoff series in the history of baseball. He had 6 home runs and 13 RBIs in 6 games. Now, a lot of people are going to point to the context that I'm obviously missing because I'm trying to give him his props right now, but he was suspended for taking steroids. So you guys have to let me know in the comments. Nelson Cruz, he is one of 4 DHs ever to have 50% of their games at DH and 350 plus home runs. David Ortiz is a Hall of Famer. Frank Thomas is a Hall of Famer. Harold Baines, he just made the Hall of Fame. So Nelson Cruz, he has 464 home runs, a career 130 OPS plus. Can Nelson Cruz make the Hall of Fame, or is he going to get shut out because he doesn't have the base hits or he took steroids? Even after the whole steroid debacle from 2014 to 2021, Nelson Cruz hit 283 with a combined 147 OPS plus over that stretch. Again, he was a monster, a 7-time All-Star. I don't think he's going to make the Hall of Fame, but in his peak, I mean, you did not mess with Nelson Cruz. You are looking at the 2023 NL Comeback Player of the Year. It makes me so happy that we got another prime version of Cody Bellinger. This was kind of a different version of Cody that we've never really seen before. He hit 307, which was actually insane, with 26 home runs and 20 stolen bases. He was elite defensively as well. Now, he was in 2019 Cody Bellinger, where he had 34 doubles, 47 home runs, and a 305 batting average. I mean, he won MVP and a Gold Glove in the same season, but the fact that he came back for the Cubs on a 1-year prove-it deal, he's going to get paid so much. He's only 28 years old. There's still a lot of time left for Cody B, and if he goes to the Yankees, if he goes to the Cardinals, I just want him to break out even more so on top of these insane 2023 stats because he was a monster. Don't pay too much attention to the stats of Liam Hendriks. He only pitched in 5 innings, but Liam Hendriks, he is the winner of the AL Comeback Player of the Year award, and obviously, he overcame non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a form of cancer. So yeah, if you come back from cancer, you have to win Comeback Player of the Year. Now, he's not going to be pitching in 2024, unfortunately, because he is going through Tommy John surgery. But shout out to Liam Hendriks. The dude is a warrior, but I think we all know that just by the way he pitches. So we've talked about Nelson Cruz retiring, the fact that Cody Bellinger and Liam Hendriks are your Comeback Players of the Year. Let's talk about some star players that are opting out of their contracts, and they're now free agents. The first star that opted out, Jorge Soler. This was the least surprising opt-out I've seen in quite some time. He was an All-Star in 2023. He put up 36 home runs and a 128 OPS plus. A lot of that damage was in the second half, so in the second half, he earned himself a ton more money, and I fully expected him to opt out. So let me know in the comments down below, would you want the services of Jorge Soler? He's only 31 years old, just like my guy GiraffeneckMarc always says. This dude is aging like fine wine, and I genuinely believe that this guy has a few more 30, maybe even 35 home run seasons in his back pocket. So for me, I would definitely sign him. I'm a Guardians fan. I need Jorge Soler more than I need air to breathe. Could you imagine him in the same lineup as Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor? That would be nuts. But also, we have Kyle Manzardo and Josh Naylor, so I don't know if that makes sense. But Jorge Soler, he's going to be highly coveted because that power is legit. Whit Merrifield was also an All-Star in 2023, and that's not because he was really good. It's just the Blue Jays fan base is borderline delusionally passionate, but I give them all the credit. They took advantage of the fan voting. So Whit Merrifield, again, let me check that one more time. Yes, he was an All-Star in 2023. He had 27 doubles, 11 home runs, 26 stolen bases with a 94 OPS plus. He's never going to wow you with the power, but defensively, he's going to be pretty good. Even at the ripe age of nearly 35 years old, he's still a great athlete. He can play a bunch of different positions. I expect Whit Merrifield to get maybe $10 to $15 million a season, but nothing more than that because he's older. He's not the best offensively, but in terms of value, he does provide a little bit there despite him only having a 0.8 WAR. I do think that he brings a lot to the table, in my opinion, especially in terms of leadership. Do you guys remember the days of when Seth Lugo was a setup man for Edwin Edwin Diaz back when he was on the New York Mets. Well, he's a 6'4", 230-pound massive human who actually had a pretty good season as a starting pitcher for the Padres. He just opted out. He had a 3.57 ERA, and if we take a look at his FIP, a 3.83 FIP. That's actually pretty good. FIP is just a fancy stat to determine how good a pitcher is all by himself at getting outs. It's not factoring in defense. It's not factoring errors or anything like that. How good is a pitcher at limiting walks, limiting home runs, and striking guys out? A 3.83 FIP, I mean, he's got a 3.68 career FIP. That means he's pretty good just by himself. But if we're talking about the best free agent pitchers for the Padres, he's not even in the top 2, so let's go through every single team and look at their free agents. So we're going to start with the Rockies and go all the way up to the Blue Jays, but we'll get there in a second. So the Rockies only have one free agent on paper right now, Brent Sutter. He had a 3.3 ERA as a lefty out the pen last year, and just a fun fact from Fuzzy, you guys remember that Call Me Maybe Harvard viral video from a decade ago? He was in that video, so I like Brent Sutter. Also, I can't remember if I botched it. It's either Brent Sutter or Suter. You guys have to let me know in the comments. The Padres, it looks like they have every free agent in baseball. Matt Carpenter, G-Man Choi, Garrett Cooper. The biggest ones that stick out to me, Josh Hader, Blake Snell, Michael Walker was really good last year, and Gary Sanchez. Jurickson Profar, I don't know if he's good or not because he has moments of being pretty good, and then he just absolutely stinks it up. But Gary Sanchez had a bounce-back season. Blake Snell, he's going to win the 2023 Cy Young, so shout out to him. He saved his nastiest stuff for when he was about to be a free agent. And Josh Hader, I have a feeling that Josh Hader is going to get picked up for anywhere from $20 to $25 million, so he's going to get paid. The Padres might have a lot of holes that they have to fill, and they had to take out a loan to fill payroll in September, so the Padres are in a weird spot right now. The Giants could potentially look like a brand new team in 2023. The biggest ones that I can say right now, Alex Cobb, Michael Conforto has an opt-out, Brandon Crawford, he's probably going to retire, Sean Manaea, Jock Peterson, and Alex Wood. I still think that Alex Wood is pretty nasty, but a lot of these players really underperformed in 2023, so I don't know what their market's going to look like, especially Michael Conforto. He has an opt-out, but I don't think that he's going to opt out. That would be stupid because he didn't play that well. The Dodgers have a plethora of potential free agents as well. We don't even really have to talk about the majority of them, like Clayton Kershaw. He's going to come back, at least in my opinion. Julio Urias, I mean, he's probably going to get suspended forever, so you don't have to worry about him. All of that to say, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters for the Dodgers is if they can get Shohei Ohtani on their squad. The rest of these guys, it doesn't mean anything really. Even Clayton Kershaw, because he stinks in the playoffs. I'm sorry to say it, but he does. The Diamondbacks, wow, look at this. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., I forgot that he had a clause in his contract that means he could be a free agent after the 2023 season. Tommy Pham, those are two big ones right there because these guys were studs in the playoffs. That's huge. The Reds, we have Harrison Bader, Joey Votto. So Joey Votto has a club option, and considering how not very good he's been for the last few seasons, I don't know if this is going to be the end of Joey Votto's tenure in Cincinnati. Harrison Bader, maybe he comes back, maybe he doesn't, but Joey Votto, that's the big question mark right there. Is he going to finish his career with the Reds, or are they going to let him go? The Pirates, not really a lot to talk about. Andrew McCutchen, he is set to become a free agent, but I hope that he goes back to Pittsburgh because he put up an almost 380 on base percentage, which is really, really good. Vince Velasquez, he kind of broke out, and I think that he's going to get a lot of money from another team, so I don't expect any of these guys really to come back. Here we go, the Chicago Cubs, they have a lot of the more coveted free agents. Marcus Stroman, I don't know if he's going to opt out because he's getting, I think, $20 to $21 million, and considering how terrible he was in the second half, he's probably going to enter in. Cody Bellinger, he broke out in 2023. He's going to get paid a lot of money, and Jeimer Candelario, he was fantastic for both the Nationals and the Cubs. Also, Yan Gomes, he was pretty solid last year. He's going to get picked up. If Austin Hedges can keep getting jobs, Yan Gomes, he's not going anywhere, and also Kyle Hendricks, a club option. He was decent last year. They'll probably pick him back up. The Cardinals only have one free agent right now, and that is Drew Verhagen, looking like Will Smith in that one meme where he's all by himself, but I don't know if they bring him back or not. Cool if they don't. Cool. The Brewers, wow, Mark Canha, Victor Caratini, Andrew Chafin, Josh Donaldson, Wade Miley, Darren Ruff, Carlos Santana. Wow, a lot of players are set to hit free agency. Jesse Winker, they could not get rid of that guy fast enough. He is awful. Donaldson, I mean, I think that they'll bring him back because he's a veteran presence, but then a lot of people say that he's a clubhouse cancer. So for me, the biggest one is probably Mark Canha because he was really good for them down the stretch. Oh, I forgot that Rhys Hoskins was a free agent. Okay, that's something to remember. Craig Kimbrell, after his stinky, god-awful postseason, he is probably not going to be welcomed back in the city of Philadelphia. Scott Kingery, I forgot that he even existed, but he was so good his first season. Aaron Nola, a big one. Michael Lorenzen. For me, Craig Kimbrell, he's going to be gone. Michael Lorenzen, he's gone. Aaron Nola, he's got to go back. And Rhys Hoskins, he's got he's got to get Bryce Harper out of first base. Okay, you got to put Bryce Harper in right field, maybe Nick Castellanos in left field, even though he never makes errors. I just want Rhys Hoskins in the lineup. That's all I ask for. The Mets, a lot of older players, Carlos Carrasco and Adam Ottavino. Ottavino, I still think that he has a lot of gas left in the tank. Carlos Carrasco, Cookie, one of my favorite players of all time. I think it might be either time to ride into the sunset, maybe go back to the Guardians as a 5 or 6 starter and just kind of say goodbye to the game of baseball. Brooks Raley, a club option, they got to pick him up because he was really good in replacement of David Robertson. Like down the stretch to end the season, he was way better than David Robertson, who was a bust for the Marlins. Speaking of the Marlins, they have Josh Bell, who has an opt-out. He's getting like $16 to $18 million. He was very good in the second half, so maybe he's going to try and gamble on himself and get more money. I don't know if Matt Barnes is good anymore, but I know that Matt Moore is still pretty good. David Robertson was a shell of himself, like we talked about earlier. Jorge Soler, Joey Wendell stinks. They're not going to give Johnny Cueto a lot of money. Yuli Gurriel is old and washed up. David Robertson, I mean, as long as they can get Jorge Soler back in that lineup and maybe even Josh Bell, I feel like they're going to be all right going into 2024. The 60-year-old phenom, Jesse Chavez, okay, he's not actually that old, but he's like 38 going on 39, maybe even 40. He was really good last year. Brad Hand, please do not bring him back. Colin McHugh, he's really good when he is healthy. Charlie Morton, Kevin Pillar, Eddie Rosario, and Kirby Yates. Okay, so quite a few players that they stand to lose, but for me, I think the more important players are Charlie Morton and Eddie Rosario, but maybe that's just me. Wow, the Rangers could look really different. Aroldis Chapman, Mitch Garver. Mitch Garver, you got to get that guy back. Andrew Heaney, it doesn't really matter, but he was good, and I think game number 4 or 5, I think he went 5 innings, 1 run or something like that. Austin Hedges, Travis Gronkowski. Wow. Jordan Montgomery. The biggest one for me of the entire video is left-handed reliever Will Smith. He has won 3 consecutive World Series, so if you sign this guy, you're basically guaranteed to win the World Series, so go get Will Smith. Do it right now. But Jordan Montgomery and Mitch Garver, those have to be the guys you lock in. I had no idea that Teoscar Hernandez was a pending free agent. Dominic Leone, I mean, that guy is not very good. And Tom Murphy, he's pretty good against lefties. That's about it. He's a platoon catcher. Teoscar, he was horrible in the first half of last year. He was still driving in runs, but not getting on base as frequently. The second half was way better. I mean, defensively, he was better as well. So Teoscar, even though he's approaching 30-something, 35, mid-30s, he's still pretty good. The A's, I mean, Tony Kemp, that's really all we have to talk about. I don't know who okay, I'm not even going to try and say that name because I don't want to botch it. I'm sorry, Drew. The GM of the Astros has already said that Martin Maldonado will not be back on the squad next year because Yainer Diaz, he's going to be the main man going forward. Michael Brantley, hopefully they bring him back because I feel like he really fits the city of Houston and what they're trying to accomplish. Ryan Stanek, Phil Maton. Phil Maton's pretty solid, and same with Hector Neris. So for me, I think the only person that might not be back is Martin and maybe Ryan Stanek. The Angels are going to look a whole lot different because they're going to lose Shohei Ohtani. Like, I hate saying that out loud because I wanted to give the Angels and their fan base the benefit of the doubt, but he's going to be gone. They have a lot of other guys like Mike Moustakas, which, shout out to Mike Moustakas, who's done way more for the Angels than Anthony Rendon, and he's getting paid like 10 times more or something crazy like that. A lot of old guys that underperformed. I don't see them bringing back really any of these guys. That's just me, though. The White Sox got disappointing seasons from Tim Anderson. Mike Clevenger was pretty good, so he's probably going to get brought back, a mutual option. Liam Hendriks, again, he's probably going to be missing 2024. Brian Shaw is 87 years old. Yasmani had a down season. Just the White Sox are so disappointing. It makes me sick. The Twins, my friend Joey Gallo is now a free agent. I don't know what his market's going to be considering he was left off the playoff roster. He's still pretty good with the power, but everything else kind of dipped. Sonny Gray, Blake Snell, and Jordan Montgomery, as well as Aaron Nola. Those are going to be the 4 big workhorses for starting pitchers who are free agents. I love Tyler Mahley's stuff, but he's overcoming, I think, shoulder surgery or some kind of surgery. Michael A. Taylor, he held it down defensively, and he had some pretty good pops, so I feel like maybe the Guardians could use someone like him. Donovan Solano, we call him Donnie Barrels. The Twins, I mean, their main focus has better be Sonny Gray. He is a perfect fit in Minnesota. The Tigers, Javier Baez has an opt-out, but he would legitimately be the dumbest player of all time if he chose to get out of that contract. Again, it was 6 years, $140 million. He's been quite horrific, so do not opt out. Eduardo Rodriguez, he's definitely going to opt out. And then Carson Kelly, he used to be good back in the day with the Diamondbacks. He's not very good anymore. Same for Matthew Boyd and Jose Cisnero, but Cisnero has his moments. But Erod, maybe he goes to the Dodgers and the Dodgers get him and Ohtani. I don't know. I'm hoping that Zach Greinke finishes out his career with the Royals because he is so close to 3,000 strikeouts. They also have Brad Keller and Matt Duffy. Don't really have much to say about those guys. The Guardians, Cole Calhoun, Lucas Giolito, and Ronaldo Lopez. Please bring back Ronaldo Lopez and even Lucas Giolito. He was better in the last few games. Cole Calhoun, I mean, he was fine, but the only guy I really want honestly, is Ronaldo Lopez, unless we can really fix Lucas Giolito, and who knows if that can happen. The Yankees, you have IKF, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, you have Keenan Middleton, Frankie Montas. Frankie Montas barely did anything aside from implode as a Yankee, and then he injured his shoulder, so he's been a bust for them. Wandy Peralta, Luis Severino, and Luke Weaver. To me, the only person that probably comes back is Keenan Middleton because Aaron Judge loves that guy, and he was pretty solid. Maybe Luke Weaver as a 5 or 6 starter or a long reliever. Wandy's been pretty solid, but the Frankie Montas trade was a complete and utter disaster. So we're almost done. The Red Sox, ooh, they better get back Adam Duvall. I really like his game, especially in Fenway Park. Corey Kluber, he's washed up. Adalberto Mondesi, washed up. James Paxton was really good, and then he kind of faded into not being very good. Joely Rodriguez, I have no idea. And Justin Turner is going to get paid in 2024 because he was pretty good. He had one of the better 37, 38-year-old seasons in the history of baseball. Shout out to him. The Rays, you have Chris Stavinsky, Jake Diekman, and Robert Stevenson. Robert Stevenson, I mean, honestly, these guys were pretty good last year. Stevenson, he had a 2.35 ERA and an almost 15 strikeouts per 9. Jake Diekman, he had a 2.18 ERA. They got to go back, right? They're perfect fits in Tampa Bay. They got spin rate. They're kind of scary. Yeah, I would bring both these guys back. And then we have the Orioles and the Blue Jays. So the final two teams, the Orioles, Jack Flaherty, he can get gone. Adam Frazier, he had a little breakout season. Shintaro Fujinami, probably gone. Kyle Gibson, Aaron Hicks, Austin Voth. If I was the GM of, also, every time I say his last name, Austin Voth, it feels like I'm lisping, but I'm not. If I was the Orioles GM, I would definitely bring back Aaron Hicks because he was pretty good for them. And then I would give all of the money in the world to Blake Snell and Aaron Nola. Just build a super rotation around those guys. Keep building up Grayson Rodriguez, but I would give it to Aaron Nola and Blake Snell because they've been pretty good in the postseason. And the regular season, they're going to eat innings, although Blake Snell, that's kind of contradictory because even though he pitches a lot of innings, he only goes 5 or 6 innings, mainly 5 innings. And last but certainly not least, the Blue Jays, you have Brandon Belt, Matt Chapman, Chad Green. I keep forgetting that Chad Green is still in the AL East, but he's on the Blue Jays. Jordan Hicks, bring back Jordan Hicks in my opinion. Kevin Kiermaier, also bring back Kevin Kiermaier. Whit Merrifield, Hungjin Ryu, he was good before. I think he got hit by a comebacker or something like that. So the Blue Jays have a lot of questions to answer. And for me, I think that Brandon Belt, he would be a good DH option. Matt Chapman, I think that he's borderline overrated at this point, especially offensively. He was so good to begin the season, and then MLB said, yeah, we can figure you out again. So, yeah, that's all the free agents. That does it for today's MLB recap. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. And just because baseball is over doesn't mean you can't use Code Fuzzy on SeatGeek on concerts or other sporting events. Code Fuzzy on Underdog Fantasy will get you a $500 deposit match. So use Code Fuzzy. It's free money. Stay safe out there.